Okay, today we're going to combine like terms using algebra tiles. The first thing we're going to do is go over some vocabulary. The first word is term. A term is a single number, variable, or number variable multiplied together. So 3 is a term because it's a single number. 4x is a term because it's a number and variable multiplied together. Y is a term because it's a variable. And 6s is a term because it's a number and variable multiplied together. The next one is coefficient. A coefficient is the number attached to the letter. So in 4C, what is the coefficient? Good, 4. It's the number attached to the letter. In 9J, what is the coefficient? 9. It's the number attached to the letter. A variable is a letter that represents a number. So all these are variables because they're letters. That makes them a variable. Alright, so let's do an example here. It says in the following expression, identify the terms, the coefficients, and the variables. So the first thing we're going to do is identify the terms. The terms are usually separated by plus or minus signs. So for example, 3x, it's a number and variable multiplied together, is a term. Plus 2y is a term. It takes the sign that's in front of it. Minus 3 or negative 3 is a term. Plus 6 is a term. And plus 5x is a term. So I have 5 terms in this problem. I have 3x, positive 2y, negative 3, positive 6, and positive 5x. Those are all my terms. The variables are just my letters. So x and y are my variables, and my coefficients are the numbers next to a letter. So 3 is a coefficient, 2 is a coefficient, negative 3 is not because it's not next to a letter. Same thing with 6, but 5 is. So those are my terms, variables, and coefficients. Okay, so now let's introduce ourselves to algebra tiles. Today we're going to work with 3 types of algebra tiles: a big square, a rectangle, and a little square. The big square has 2 sides, a blue and a red. The blue is positive, the red is negative. This is going to represent my x squared. The rectangle is going to represent x. It has 2 sides, a green side, which is positive, a red side, which is negative. And then a tiny little square is going to represent a 1. It also has 2 sides, a yellow side, which is positive, a red side, which is negative. So before we go on to the next page, you're going to need to gather some materials. You'll need to grab a bag of algebra tiles off the bookshelf. You'll need a yellow highlighter, crayon, colored pencil, or marker. A red colored pencil, crayon, marker, highlighter. Green colored pencil, crayon, marker, highlighter. And blue colored pencil, crayon, marker, highlighter. So go ahead and hit pause, gather your materials, and hit play when you get back, and we'll do some examples. Hey, welcome back. We're going to model some problems and combine things that we can. So again, we're going to use a big square. That's going to be our x squared. Our rectangle is going to be our x. And our little square is going to be our 1. So they did the first one for you with a drawing, but I want to still build it and show you how to do it. So when you get an expression, you want to separate it into all the terms. So I'm going to box in 4x. I'm going to box in minus 3x, and I'm going to box in a plus 1. Now I'm going to build it. So 4x means I have 4 rectangles, and because it's positive, it means I have 4 green rectangles. And if you want, you can color theirs in, because that's what you just did. You put those on there. Now I'm going to build my next term, which is negative 3x, which is 3 red rectangles, because our x's are rectangles and it's negative. And they did those black for you, but red is negative. And then the next thing I have is a plus 1. So it's a little square, and it's yellow because it's positive. So now I've built this sentence. So now we can get rid of 0 pairs. Remember, a positive and negative make a 0 pair. So if this is positive, green, and red is negative, I can get rid of 0 pairs. So this is a 0 pair. These are a 0 pair, 1 red and 1 green. And this is a 0 pair. So what I'm left with is 1 green and 1 yellow. Green is a positive x, and a yellow square is a 1, so my final answer is x plus 1. I have 1 positive x and 1 positive tiny square, so that's my answer. Okay, let's do the next one. I have 3x minus 4x minus 1. So let's box in our terms. So that's going to be step 1. Box in the terms. And hit pause if you need to slow down. So my terms are 3x minus 4x and a minus 1. Okay, so what shape am I going to use to build 3x? Big square, rectangle, or tiny square? If you said rectangle, good job. And what color? Green, because it's positive. So I'm going to do 3 green rectangles. And for negative 4x, what am I going to use? Good, 4 red rectangles. And for negative 1, what am I going to use? Good, a little red square. Okay, so now I can cancel out 0 pairs. We can only get rid of things that match the shape and are opposite colors. So because my rectangles, I have a green and a red, these can go away because they're 0. So we'll put those over here. These are green and red, they're opposite, so they go away. These are green and red, they're opposites, so they go away. And what I have left is this. I have a red rectangle and a red square. So these can't cancel out because they're not the same shape, they're also the same color. So x represents, or rectangle represents x, and it's negative because it's red. So I have a negative x, and the tiny square represents a 1, and it's negative. So I have a minus 1. So when I combine the like terms here, these canceled out, these canceled out, and this is what I was left with, and that's my answer. Okay, let's do the next one. 5x squared plus 2x minus x. So let's box in our terms. 5x squared plus 2x minus x. So 5x squared, remember x squared is a big square, it's positive, so I have 5 big blue squares plus 2x is 2 green rectangles minus x is 1 red rectangle. So can any of these big squares cancel out? Good, no, because they're all the same color. So I can keep all these, but can any of these cancel out? Yeah, these two can, right? So I can get rid of those. So what I have left are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positive x squares and 1 positive x, so plus x. So that's my final answer. And if you notice over here, you can only cancel these out. These are all blue. These were greens. And this was a red. So a red and green cancel out. Okay, hit pause and try the next two on your own. Hit play when you're ready to check them. Okay, welcome back. So for number 3, hopefully the first thing you did was separate your terms. And to build it, I'm going to do -5, which is 5 little squares. Plus 6, which is 6 yellow squares. And minus 4x, which is 4 rectangles. Okay, and none of these can cancel out, but over here, I can cancel a bunch out. These cancel, those cancel, these cancel, those cancel, and those cancel. So what I'm left with are 4 red x's, so that's -4x, plus a positive 1. So if you notice over here, cancel, 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 cancel. And this is what you're left with. Okay, and then for the last one, oops, sorry, something just fell. Let's see how we did the last one. Okay, so when you did the last one, you should have had 2 big blue squares, 3 big blue squares, and 5 red squares. So when you cancel out, this cancels that one, this one and this 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 one. So what did you have left? Nothing. So your answer would be 0. Okay, so if you have any questions, raise your hand. And if not, go ahead and start working on the worksheet. Put a smiley face right here. Actually, make this 0 into a smiley face so that I know you watched the whole video. Okay, I'll come in and check on you in a few minutes.